about the Somalis being deported from the US by the Trump administration. So, this is this US deportation anti-black, or is it part of making America great again? Because right now we're kind of forced with a scenario where the Republicans, the people who are actually known to have supported the fight against slavery and to stand for the most of the civil rights. They've been the major supporters of the civil rights movements in the US history compared to the Democrats, apparently. And now they are kind of deporting blacks. I mean, Somalis. Let's not be so racial in this. Why is it specifically Somalis? That's the question right now. Deportation in America isn't new, but who gets deported? Why do they get deported and how the system treats them? That's where it hits different. This isn't just about law and order, it's about history, race, economics, and political power. Let's break it down. Let's break it down. Let's break it down here. Is deportation anti anti-black? The system wasn't built neutral. That's what you need to know. Historically, US immigration enforcement has hit black immigrants harder than other races. Black immigrants are 10% of all immigrants in the US, but 20% of all deportations. So we have a kind of balance lacking in that state at the moment. African and Caribbean immigrants are likely to be detained even for small offenses, like a parking ticket. I mean, okay, just like you forgot to pay $1 in a store, they can come for you. Black immigrants receive longer detention time and harsher decisions. So, why? Because the immigration system still mirrors America's old racial patterns. Police targeting, discriminatory sentencing, lack of legal representation, profiling by the ICE, policies that criminalize immigrants from black majority countries. So yes, many argue deportation policies hit black bodies and families the hardest. So here we go right now as we go through this. Is it making America great again? The MAGA, the MAGA argument, this is what it says. People who support strict deportation say it protects jobs, it secures borders, it reduces crime, it puts Americans first, it keeps the economy stable. But here's the truth. Let's do a quick fact check. Black immigrants have lower crime rates than US born citizens, even lower than white, Latino, and native born black Americans. So the danger argument doesn't stand. Fact check. Black immigrants contribute billions to the US economy. Most work in sectors America depends on. For instance, healthcare, transportation, tech, the tech industry, the hospitality, and construction. Deporting these workers hurts the economy, not strengthens it. So, what's really going on here? What's really going on here? Deportation becomes political. During election seasons, immigrants, especially black and brown immigrants, become, number one, talking points. They use them in campaigns. They become the targets and they become the scapegoats. It creates fear and division among the specific race which is being targeted. Oh, let me just get off that. Black immigrants are caught between two fires: anti-Black racism and anti-immigrant policy. These face double punishment. You get what I mean? You get what I mean? You're basically used as a scapegoat, as a bargaining chip, as a voting election kind of card. For Black Americans and Black immigrants, the impact is real. Deportation breaks families, communities, children's futures, economic stability, and mental health. Do you know the trauma that is associated with this kind of policies here and targets and criminalizing the Blacks, specifically the Black immigrants? They are so traumatic. You come to a land that you are invited to, the land of many opportunities, and suddenly it becomes the land of many dangers, because you're going to work your ass off, sorry, and then you're just gonna go home broke. You're just deported. Nobody even, even the money that you've done, regardless whether you're paying the taxes or not. It's really tricky. For Black immigrants, deportation isn't just going home. It's returning to political danger, persecution, poverty, war, and family separation. Some even face death if deported. And nobody gives a BS about this. Nobody gives a D about this. Nobody gives a damn about it. For us here at Kings and Queens, this is our takeaway, the talk takeaway. This isn't about making America great. It's about deciding whose life matters, whose labor is wanted, and whose presence is tolerated. Deportation, the way it's done today in America, is not fair. It's not fair, not equal. It's not fair, it's not equal, not safer for Black immigrants. If the system was truly about safety, it would target criminals, not communities. I repeat, it's not fair, it's not equal, it's not safe for Black immigrants. If the system was truly about safety, it would target criminals, not communities. So, how do we go about this? So, the Somali thing, let's have a look at the Somalis who are being deported. As you've been watching on social media and throughout the media, there have been complaints in states like Texas that the Sharia is being carried out. Sharia law is being practiced in the US. So could someone in the administration could probably trying to find a way of taking America, which was built on biblical principles, and including the Constitution that upholds the right of religion and upholds the recognition of Christianity-based family foundation as a stronghold for the democracy of the US. Could it be a way of trying to restore America to its original position of being able to run the state without having in terrorism kind of ideology or terrorism breakout, domestic terror incited or brought about by Americans or something like that? Maybe somebody in the administration or certain people, legends or all political big, old political influencers. I mean, the aged ones like George Bush, Bill Clinton, um, kind of stuff. Maybe they are trying to protect the U.S. I mean, let's look at the other side of the coin. Much as the things are not actually fair, yeah, they're actually very, very unfair because, I mean, even immigrants from other parts of the US or Canada who are not necessarily from Muslim kind of backgrounds are also being targeted. So, but here's the fact, there has been a war which has been going on. Like the mayor, the current elect mayor of the US, his wife is Muslim. And she clearly went out and said, yes, while they were raising money for campaigns, it's the Muslim communities that actually raised the most of the money for these campaigns for Mamdani to get through. So it was not just because the Republicans or because of the Democrats or stuff like that. So, and then if they go further on, in other reports, they further state that the Qatarian government has been funding activities which have been pushing for an Islamized America. And even further, there have been books and journals and diaries which have been exposed that I'll not go further into, but you can go on YouTube, you go on social media, you go Google it up or do whatever you want to check. You'll find that they have been pushing for this. So imagine the Sharia law, for instance, operating in the US, in the state of Texas. Yet America is run on Christian principles. Would it be okay, for instance, let's hit it this way. Would it be okay, let's reflect. Would it be okay for Christians to operate a constitutional law based on Christianity in, let's say, Iran or Iraq or let's say Syria or Qatar or Dubai? I mean, out like openly, it will take a little bit of, distortion. I mean, a lot of conflict to do that. And then you realize that these guys apparently have been funding for over 30 years. They've been funding the ideology of pushing anti-Semitism, pushing pro-Islam, pushing and fighting, having a cold battle between kind of to force the Islamic principles and beliefs and social acknowledgement in an using extra force, what you can call as the financial force. So I'm not against Islam. I'm not against Muslims. The Muslims who are really good people. But sometimes you really have to admit, right now we are trying to chase a scapegoat. We're trying to mix Somalis to represent all the blacks. So why is it that specifically Somalis are being targeted? Maybe it's because of the Islam. I know of Somalis who are good. I know Somalis who are trying to push for development in Africa, and I don't know about out there. I know I have friends who are Somalis. I've got some relatives who are Somalis. You understand? But why are they profiling specific people? Are they just randomly coming and targeting Somalis who have papers or who do not have papers? So we need to ask our questions that these people who are being targeted, is it because they are lacking papers? Do they have all the papers? Have they done all the paperwork? Have they done all the required things? Someone's here. I'm receiving calls like already from the US. Kind of like as if I have to go. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get back in a few minutes. And then we continue this podcast. Check out for our next installment of this. We're going to discuss further with figures and facts Right now we need to go in figures and facts, but anything can be manipulated online. Anything can be deleted, anything can be blocked, anything can go as a ratio and kind of stuff, even if it's a fact. But the fact is, I'm also black, I'm also an African, I'm also best in Africa at the moment. And I really think America has to do its job. If someone does not have the papers, let them deport them. If someone has not done the proper required things according to the statutes of the US, let them be deported. But apparently, here in Africa, in the cradle of the black people, in the home, in the communities of the black people actually have no problem with the Americans. The way they're governing their nation, the sovereignty and their deportations, they have no problem at all. I just need to tell you, that is one hard fact. People in Africa, most majority, do not have any problem with the Trump administration carrying out whatever they are carrying out. Actually, they have no problem with the Republicans at all. They had a problem with the Democrats because of sexual homosexuality and all that transgender issue that we are pushing. And it was really bad. But right now the talk is low, and apparently the Republican, I'm telling you, right, with the feet on the ground. Yeah, they can be different foot of people. With the feet on the ground, my feet on the ground here in Africa, they have no problem with whatever's happening. Whether ICE is doing its operations, whether people are being deported, whether people need to do their homework and have proper papers, they think it's okay. It's the right of the US to do whatever they have to do. Okay? So, just like Africans do not want Americans interrupting or interfering with most of their democratic principles and the right to carry out and execute whatever they want to execute, so Africans also want the US to do whatever they have to do. If the US feels like deporting and they feel it's too much, they'll also tell the whites who specifically from the US, please pack your bags and leave. But apparently, Africans as a whole have no problem with the American administration for deporting people. And because Africans are a majority of it has the majority of black people. Basically, it's a cradle, it's a home of the black nation, of the black race. They just want the people in the US to go ahead. As long as they do not kill their people, as long as they give them the rights to access their funds and also the rights to receive the payment they have worked for, and also organize them a little bit further by, giving them packages to go back home, to come back home to Africa. I think we need those guys back here. There's been a bit of lack of development in Africa because, as a matter of fact, it could be a blessing in disguise. How do you see? I'm speaking this as an American, as an African also, who is bred and grown and groomed in Africa. So, the only problem that Africans had with the US, as I told you, was transgender, that kind of stuff, the homosexuality and all those kind of queer movement. But since that thing was hit out, they have no problem. And then the other thing is that they usually used to accuse Americans for kind of funding wars in Africa and pushing all the kind of things because they don't want African nations to kind of develop. Well, you cannot know everything that is happening in the US, even if you're in the Bush administration, whether you're in Obama's administration, whether in Trump's administration, or whether you're in Biden's administration. All we want to say is this: let America do what it's supposed to do, okay? And then from there, we see exactly how to carry out this. Of course, the comments coming in right now, because of time, of being of essence right now, I'll be coming back shortly after this, and then we see how we can move on from here. Because as a matter of fact, we have blacks in currently right here in Africa, like big men, mighty men, like Osher Duke Jackson. We have guys like Cedric Singleton, and then we have other guys. I couldn't name all of them, but I'm just mentioning a few of those because these guys are doing pretty good work. And we need more black people like that to come into Africa so that we could really have a better standard of production, a better media representation, a better communication, a better platform for whatever is happening. And you see, when these blacks come to Africa, people are actually getting reasonable employment. I mean, that's why I'm giving kudos to these guys, like, like O'Shea Duke Jackson. I mean, we can define different things because probably because they don't know how to eat fish with their bare fingers. I mean, probably because they don't know what it means to eat raw cassava or raw potatoes or dried in the sand. But we love Africans too. Please, MAGA or the administration of Trump, send them back. Let them come back and do the proper paperwork. But also, we are asking one thing. If someone qualifies to come to the US, please, let them come. We have pretty good people, pretty good brains, and hospitality, because it's our culture. It's our culture. Because not all American prisons are filled with only black people or Africans or black immigrants. I don't know. What is the percentage? Someone needs to tell me in the comments. What is the percentage of black immigrants in the American jails? What is the percentage? I mean, I'm not talking about black Americans or people of color who are in the US. I'm talking about people who are immigrants right from the Africa who are being caught up in crime in the US. What's their percentage? And what is it based on? Because I think these guys are willing to work. They're willing to survive. I know America needs to ramp up its production so that it's able to be at par with China and China mostly. And guess what? Guess where they can find these people? These people are right in Africa. I mean, me too. I would like to come to the US. Send me a visa. I don't want to call it visa because the American English likes saying visa. For every I, they like a visa. Okay, send me a visa so that I can come to the US, and then I could probably put these representations on TV, and also my African accent, like you hear it. Could put it on American TV, and we get things going. I mean, Trevor Noah, Elon Musk. Elon Musk, that guy he's an African. He was not chased out of Africa. He's an African, and he's making America great again. I mean, we have Africans who are original, with original brains too, who can make America great again. I mean, why don't you come and scout for some Africans here, and try to check up their IQ and things like that, because you'll discover the Africans back here could actually do a lot of work. Our biggest problem so far has probably been a very few, like a handful of Black Americans who don't feel comfortable having African immigrants close to them. And this could be the people doing all this kind of, just a handful of the blacks of American origin. Yeah, the rest of them are very good to Africans. And apart from that, I mean, there's a lot, man. We need to work. Come down to Africa. We have gold. We have big reserves of oil, of gold, diamond, rare earth, all kinds of minerals that need to be exploited. And we need to come back. Please, you guys come back. Help us build industries in Africa. We have all the resources. Come on. Africa is the new land of opportunities. You understand what I mean? So I really like to sign out because of engagement. Right now, I have a call. Someone, I think, tipped the US State Department to give me a call. I don't know who gave them their number. I'm seeing people calling me here in Africa. Oh, I need to talk to these guys. So, and I've been seeing videos of Donald Trump really being so friendly to blacks, and also reaching out. I mean, recently he's been having meetings online, of course, private meetings with African heads and discussing most of these things. And he's just trying to make America great again. That's all. Even Africans are trying to make Africa great again. I mean, come back. Let's try to make Africa great again. From the time of Joseph, from the time of many, many, many African greats. that we keep on ignoring. Let us speak out. Let us narrate our own stories as Africans. Let us narrate our own stories. Let's talk about the great pyramids, the pyramids of Egypt. Who built it? Where is it best? Why is it best in Africa, not in the US or Europe or Middle East? I mean, that shows that Africa has a big potential. Okay? As a matter of fact, Africa has raw brains that believe without any suspicion. And Africa culture was already developed ahead. For instance, when the whites came to this country called Uganda, they got a kingdom called Buganda, and they got these guys so well organized. They had sages, they had the parliament, they had all kinds of community very well organized. So Africa was already developed. I don't want to say much. I think I'm really ashamed of people who would like to rush and hide in the US and try to do certain things. Yeah, as a matter of fact, there are also certain black immigrants who have been in the US for a long time with good papers, and they've really also given us a rough ride. Persecuted, they feel they have all the dollars to manipulate the system back in Africa and abuse people's rights and that kind of thing. I mean, if you want, I could really go and fish out some of these guys here. I mean, I could go online, I could go into records of who is fueling a lot of rubbish and crime in terms of rights abuse between families and things like that, communities, and you find that some of these African immigrants are actually doing this thing using their hard-earned dollars in the US. And they want to claim everything back here and claim everything back there, and they have one foot in the US, one foot in Africa, and I think some of these guys need to be deported. Please, Donald Trump, deport these guys. Send them back to Africa. I don't care whatever religion they believe, whether it's Muslim or whatever it is. Send them back to Africa. Yeah, we need some bit of civilization and civility back here. Yeah, I'm your boy. Talking about this thing. My name is Shiloh, the one and only controversial, the guy with red blood in his blood cells. Yeah. Yeah, I'm out of this. I'm out of here right now. Woo! By the way, as I'm signing out, I'd like to ask you, do you guys have any African artists or movie stars you know who are based in the US? Hey, yeah. Do you know of any blacks who really entertain you, like Will Smith, Washington, who's that guy? It's called what? Something Washington, Denzel Washington, who? Beyonce, who? Jay-Z, yeah, Tupac. You like the music? Those guys are actually black immigrants from Africa. They've just been there a little longer. Every black you see in the US, most of them are immigrants, even if they are also original blacks whose history, as in hundreds of years, have been all American. I'm aware about that. Yeah, I'm aware about that. But we have those immigrants who have stayed in the US longer, whose families have been there for hundreds of years, and we need them back. We need Denzel Washington back. Denzel Washington could basically come back to Uganda and stand for president. Jay-Z could probably come to Kenya, stand for president. And, Beyonce could probably come and stand for the first female president of Uganda. Of Ghana. Why Ghana? What about Mozambique? We need these guys back. Please send them back. Send all the blacks to Africa. Let them come and stand for public offices. Let them come and run the system. You got some rotten people who are running Africa at the moment. That's why you see Africa is known as whatever it is, black continent. Yeah, so let's see what goes on here. Yeah, so you guys, thank you so much for your time. I'm signing out of this right now. Wow. Shout out to my guys out there like Oshe Duke Jackson. I'm proud of that guy because he came from the US. He's an American and currently is based in Africa and is doing good to communities. community social responsibility. His CSR is really working. He's changing lives. He's doing a lot of good work in Africa. O'Shea. Cedric Singleton is also doing a lot. Actually, during COVID time, these guys were actually helping communities survive. People were hungry, people were starving, and these guys would fish out of their pockets and buy food to support communities. I mean, I think we need to give these guys like O'Shea Duke Jackson, we need to give them some medals of recognition. I need to meet the president of Uganda, for instance, and of Kenya, and we discuss about this gentleman. These guys are doing a lot. They are helping Africa reach out to the world to tell and narrate its own story, trying to help Africa narrate its own story. I mean, this is really, really wonderful. Send Black immigrants back because of these guys. They're successful and they've shown it can work. And so, please send them back to Africa. I'm telling you. I'm out of here, bro. Yeah. Wow, some music from Africa right now. I'm out. Please, you can put in the comments. Yeah, I'm receiving a call from the US. Let me see how to call. Yeah, man. Let me call you. Let me call you right now. 1 minute. Let me call you. A few seconds. Yeah, I just got a call. Yeah. Oh, my technical team is kind of like busy. And my technical team, I'm asking you to please show up. I know you're taking the comments, you're reading the comments right now, but I need you to show up because I gotta go right now. Please put in the comments as we're waiting. Should the administration send back these Africans? Yes. My answer is yes, send them back. We don't care whether they're innocent or guilty. Let them do the proper paperwork to get back in the US. That is it. We have nothing we don't have anything to hide about that. We need that to happen. Yeah? Africa is a good place and people have to do the right paperwork to get back to the US. And if they're sent back, well and good. I mean, there's nothing we can really hide about that. We are proud of you. We're proud of the US. We're proud of Africa as well. We're proud of the guys who are being sent back. Please come back to Africa. Yeah, bring your asses back home. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much. More comments. Yeah, it's wonderful.